Learn English with Rapunzel. Part 3, narrated in English only. There was once a couple, who longed to have a child. Years passed, with only the two of them. At last, it seemed, that their wish would come true. The wife would soon have a child. In their bedroom, there was a small window, offering views, of a beautiful garden, in which were found, all kinds of flowers, and plants. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to go into it, because it belonged to a witch. One day, the woman was standing by this window, and looking into the garden, when she saw a bed, which was planted with rampion, Rapunzel. And it looked so fresh, and green, that she felt a craving, to eat it. Her desire increased day by day, and, as she didn't know how to satisfy it, she became sad, pale, and sickly looking. Being worried, her husband asked,
"What's wrong, my dear wife?"
"Oh,"
she replied,
"if I can't eat some of the rampion, which is behind our house, I will surely die."
The husband, who loved her a lot, thought to himself,
"Before I allow my wife to die, I will bring her some of the rampion, and it is God's will, what then happens."
At dusk, he jumped the wall into the garden of the witch, quickly grabbed a handful of rampion, and took it to his wife, who immediately made a salad of it, and ate it, with an enthusiastic appetite. But it tasted so good to her, that the next day, she longed for it 3 times as much, as before. She couldn't have rest, if her husband didn't go once more, into the garden. The man returned, to the witch's garden, for more rampion, Rapunzel. But this time, the witch saw him.
"How dare you?"
said the witch.
"Come into my garden, and steal my rampion, like a thief? You will be punished."
"Ah,"
answered he,
"forgive my audacity, for I have done it, out of necessity. My wife has seen your rampion, from the window, and she craved it, in such a manner, that she would have died, if she had not got some to eat."
Softening her anger, the witch then said to him,
"If it is, as you say, take as much rampion as you like, but on one condition. You have to give me the child that your wife gives birth to. She will lack nothing, and I will care for her, as if I were her mother."
Though pained, the husband consented. Not long after, the man and his wife had a baby girl. The witch came, and took her away. The witch gave the baby girl the name of Rapunzel, which means, rampion. Rapunzel was the most beautiful creature that had ever been under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her into a tower, which lay in a forest. The tower had neither stairs, nor door, but only a little high window. Every day, the witch came to see Rapunzel. When the witch wanted to enter, she placed herself beneath it, and said,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Rapunzel had magnificent, long hair, fine as spun gold. As soon as she heard the voice of the witch, she untied her braid, and let her long, golden hair, fall out the window for the witch, to climb up. One day, a prince, was walking past the tower. He heard such a sweet, and soft song, that he stopped to listen. It was Rapunzel. The king's son, had wanted to enter, and looked for the door of the tower, but could not find it. He returned home, but the singing, had touched his heart, in such a manner, that he went every day into the forest, to listen to it. Once, when he was thus standing behind a tree, he saw, that a witch came there. And he heard her say,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Rapunzel let her hair fall out the window, and the witch climbed up.
If that is the ladder, by which one climbs, I want also, to try my fortune,"
said the prince. And the next day, when it began to grow dark, he approached the tower, and said,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me."
Immediately, the hair fell down, and the king's son climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was frightened, when she saw a man enter. But the king's son, began to talk to her, with the utmost kindness. With this, Rapunzel's fear disappeared. The prince, and Rapunzel, talked for a very long time. He asked her, if she wanted to marry him. Rapunzel saw, that he was young, and handsome, she thought to herself.
I love him much more, than the old witch.
And she said, yes, to him.
I would very much like to go with you, but I do not know, how to get down. Every time, you come, bring me some silk cords. By these, I will make a ladder, and when it is sufficiently long, I will descend, and you will take me on your horse.
They agreed, that he should come every night, for the witch, came by day. The witch did not suspect anything, until once, Rapunzel said,
Tell me, Grandma, how is it, that it makes you so long, to climb up? While the king's son is by my side in a moment?
Ah, mischievous thing,
replied the witch.
what is it that I hear? I thought I had hidden you from everyone, and you have deceived me.
In her anger, she grasped Rapunzel's beautiful locks, gave them a couple of turns around her left hand, and taking a pair of scissors with the right, and snip, snap, cut them off. The beautiful braids fell to the floor. and her fury was so extreme, that she took poor Rapunzel into the desert, where she condemned her to live in misery. The same day that the witch discovered Rapunzel's secret, she took the tresses that she had cut and secured them to the window. When the king's son came and said,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me,"
he found them hanging. The king's son ascended, but he did not find his dearest Rapunzel. He found himself face to face with the witch, who looked at him wickedly.
"Hello,"
she said mockingly.
"You have come to seek your little darling. But, the bird is no longer in its nest, and will sing no more. They have taken her from her cage, and your eyes will see her no more. Rapunzel is lost to you, you will never find her."
The prince felt a most profound grief, and in his despair, he leapt from the tower. He was fortunate not to lose his life, but the thorns into which he fell pierced his eyes. He began to wander blind through the forest, eating nothing but roots and herbs, and doing nothing but lament and mourn the loss of his dear wife. He roamed like this for some years, in utter misery, until he finally came to the desert, where Rapunzel lived, in constant anguish. He heard her voice, and thought he recognized it. He went straight up to her. Rapunzel recognized him, and fell on his neck, and wept. The tears that hit his eyes returned them to their former clarity, and he could see, as before. He led her to his kingdom, where they were received with great joy. And they lived happily and contented for many years.